What's going on, everyone? I'm Crypto Neil. We're back with another specialty altcoin video. In this video, we're going to be looking at Solana, which was once essentially king of altcoins this cycle, now down over 60% from all-time highs. Where is Solana going to be headed next? We're going to dive on into the charts, looking at the higher time frames, such as the weekly, daily, and even down to the 4-hour, breaking down what moves are next and are likely to happen in Solana. Is it done? Is it going to reverse? Is it still inbound for all-time highs? We're going to check all that out and some extra. Let's check out the charts. So diving on into the charts, Solana here on the weekly time frame. Let's check out first. Solana, one of the only altcoins this cycle to actually produce new all-time highs. Of course, during this wave up, everyone was thinking, Solana is going to go to 1,000, 4 digits, to the moon, etc. And essentially, since all-time highs, Solana is now down 62%. What is next for Solana? Wow. Essentially, if you're looking at this type of structure, I would say that major supports could be broken, but if you are still holding Solana, there is a bit of hope for you. Solana is essentially reaching major support zones. Here we have all of these wicks and support formed on this level. And we also broke out from this essentially bull flag right here. So now price is exactly interacting with that breakout zone. So usually when you interact with a major breakout on the weekly, the first time you would receive a substantial bounce. However, bounces are not to be confused with reversals in Solana. I do think bounces are going to form a lower high in this case, and I do think this is going to bleed lower if and only if Bitcoin bounces in the coming weeks and stocks rebound. Will you see this asset go for its essentially dead cat bounce or bull trap, final pump up? During these final extension waves, you could essentially sweep these all-time highs. Things could go up quite aggressively, sweeping all of these people that are shorting the market and sweeping their stop losses. So that's just to keep in mind for Solana on the very high term time frame, such as the weekly. Going on down to a daily time frame now, we can see that Solana, once again, we've broken this major form of support here, and we've now bled down to where this original rally initiated or came from. So price coming back down and interacting with this is healthy and ultimately is a zone to be looking for longs, not shorts, especially when you come down over 60%. I don't think the time for shorting is after a 60% drawdown and after a 20% correction in stocks and after Bitcoin is down 25%. I don't think looking short is necessarily a good strategy. I do think you at least want to be looking for some type of swing long, unless of case you're just holding Solana, then accumulate in these levels. Losing these levels, that is when I'd say bear market confirmed. Price is only going to essentially chop down and sideways as it did in the past. As you can see here, price action was very similar in the previous cycle. We ran up, came down, consolidated, broke out of kind of a symmetrical triangle, formed its high, and then ultimately it was just chop and down, and eventually having a dead cat bounce when we met these previous breakout levels. So again, we come up, form a symmetrical triangle, breakout, some consolidation, rally up higher, blow off top, come down, basically vertical, and finding support where we broke out from this symmetrical triangle. So oftentimes cycles do rhyme. They don't match, candle for candle. I don't believe in basically overlaying a chart and saying the same thing's going to happen, but finding similarities and finding these patterns early on is going to help you stay safe in the market. So that is why Solana, I do think, does have some type of dead cat bounce on this zone. Should we receive any type of rebound on stocks or Bitcoin in the coming weeks, then essentially this lower low that's printing now is lower than these previous wicks. It forms on RSI. We have a low, we have a higher low, have a lower low in price. And essentially that is your daily bullish divergence. That's where you reclaim this zone here that you lost, backtest as support, form your dead cat bounce. Do we get as high as I drew? No, I do think we kind of come into where we first break down from a major area of support, which would be essentially this zone here that we consolidated in. And I do think that is where the dead cat bounce would lead to, and that is where your lower high comes into play, thus confirming the bear market for Solana. So just looking for the right tool here. Essentially, you could come up, consolidate in here before coming down lower and forming your next lower low, your last leg of the bear market. So that is essentially what you have to look forward to in Solana. I know it's not good news. That is the bullish scenario should we bounce here. There's, of course, if things get really ugly, if we do get some type of capitulation in stocks, since we already have dropped 20%, you could easily see max fear introduced into the market, which would result in capitulation, which would result in altcoins doing like, negative 20% in a day before rebounding. So all of that is on the table in the coming week. Make sure you're staying safe in the market and just aware that you could have further downside, but ultimately I would be looking for price to bounce in this zone for Solana on the daily time frame. If we look to lower time frames, let's see if we can find some type of confluence or some type of reason to go long. Essentially on lower time frames, there's not really any divergence formed just yet. Essentially, this is your low here. You do have lower lows in price coming down. RSI isn't really showing any strength or coming up, forming bullish divergence. So on the 4 hour even, I would say that is more likely to just continue chopping and going down than having any type of bounce. If we look at other indicators, jumping back to the daily time frame, we do see on Market Cipher that money flow has the potential to curl up here should we get a nice green dot and a reversal going into Monday's price action. This coming up, RSI would form divergence, money flow would be coming up, as well as momentum waves. That could form your potential bottom and work its way into that dead cat bounce formation that we just spoke about. So there is hopium for Solana forming a bit of a rally. If you do get that pump up or that reactionary bounce, could see as high as a 70% return on that trade. So again, not financial advice, but those are the bullish scenarios for Solana moving forward. If we could see a reversal, that to me is what it would look like, and kind of the timing on how that could play out going into this following week. So make sure you stay safe in the market. I know things are very uncertain with all of the tariff announcements. There's max fear in the market. Just be aware that these types of fear injected scenarios in the market are engineered. They want to dump the price so they can buy lower, and this is exactly how they're going to do it. So when there's max fear in the market, that is when we need to be the most greedy. We need to be looking for those longs. Make sure you're averaging in slowly into the market so that you don't get annihilated. Just bring myself back into view. But ultimately, dips are for buying and crashes are for absolutely loading the boat. And when you're DCAing on the way down, trust me, these things will pay off very fruitfully when we go back to the upside. So even if you can't see it now, just have a long-term mindset, be patient, and make sure you DCA into the market so you don't get annihilated. Also, I just want to thank anyone who has subscribed and is new to the channel. I really do appreciate if you like this video or this content. Let me know in the comments let me know if you like these altcoin videos that I'm doing on the weekends on major altcoins, if you want to see more of them, or if you want me to focus more solely on Bitcoin price analysis and maybe stocks as well. So that's going to do it for me. I'm Crypto Neil, and we'll see you guys in the next one.